Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Common Law Court of Wales radio broadcast. I'm here this evening. Our guest is Kevin Bedwell. Can you hear me, Kev?
I can indeed, sir.
How are you feeling this evening?
Well, still a little bit depressed about the recent situation I found myself in, but sort of getting along with it now anyway. Like, still a little bit of a loss, to be honest with you, kid. But these things happen to people, and what I wanted to do was just sort of explain to people what had happened to me, to make people aware what's going on in the country at the moment.
You suffered an insidious eviction, Kev.
Well, I certainly think so.
Oh, absolutely. So, would you like to start from the beginning, and just to give our listeners a whole picture, I'll just leave you continue, Kev.
Yeah, okay, fine. All right, to start off with, I'd like to say I was self-employed for a number of years, running a small outdoor catering unit, one of your burgerlands and what have you. I had problems with, well, basically the recession. Things started dying off, and I got into a little bit of trouble work-wise and what have you. The money just wasn't coming in at one time. So basically I had to leave where I was and try and find a new site, which took me about 4, 5, 6 months, can't remember offhand exactly. In the meantime, I've fallen behind with my mortgage to the sum of £3,500. So, sorry, I'd like to go back a little bit there. I'd already had the same situation happen to me about 18 months or so ago, financially and what have you. I've been to court over a repossession thing, and then I appealed. Well, I went to court, and the judge said, right, okay, fine, carry on paying your mortgage and pay some off the arrears and what have you, which I was doing. And as I say, work went a bit up and down again, which I found myself this time I had to actually come out of work for the 4, 5, 6 months, whatever it was, of last year. I think it was about July, probably I came out of work. I was out of work until January, late December, January. As I say, by then I'd fallen behind about £3,500 on my mortgage. I went to court again because they said they were going to repossess it again. So I appealed against it, put the N244 or the N224, whatever it is in. Had my appeal on the 9th of April this year. As I went into court, that morning. I was waiting to see the QTC solicitor for last minute bit of legal advice before I went in. Tonight, I'd like to say, by the way, I was waiting to see the QT solicitor. My appointment, or the so-called appointment, hearing, whatever you want to call it, was at 10 o'clock. By this time it was sort of 20 past 10, and the judge just insisted that I went in before I could get any last minute legal advice and what have you. Cut a long story short there, basically I lost the appeal, so the judge had given me basically 90 minutes for me to get from the court, get back home to my property, empty all my furniture and stuff out of there and find somewhere else to live. I wasn't too happy with that judgment, obviously, so I thought I'd seen a few things on the internet and what have you, so I thought I'm going to stand my ground. And sure as anything, 12 o'clock that day, 12 o'clock they were there. Now luckily on that day, the bailiffs, that is, who came up at 12 o'clock that day, luckily I'd had time to phone my brother and get him to come round to my place with his, because I haven't got an old phone, so my brother came round with one of these iPhone things and videoed everything that was going on. So basically what happened, I stood my ground, the police were called and what have you, I wouldn't let them in. They started trying to drill the lock. I think what happened was, because I was saying to the police and what have you, that you have to stand up for me and what have you, what you're doing is wrong. My brother said he heard one of the police officers say to the guy that was drilling the lock, he's right, we're going to have to leave it. And with that, they disappeared. So, that was, as I say, that was on the 9th of April, which was, I think it was a Wednesday or a Thursday. The following Saturday, a couple of days later, on the Saturday, I received a letter from the solicitors representing the Leeds Building Society telling me that the eviction was no longer going ahead, it had been cancelled by the court. So I'm thinking, sitting at home thinking, everything's hunky-dory. Well, I didn't think I'd won or anything, I just thought it'd been delayed for a couple of weeks or months or whatever. I'm all nice and relaxed.
At this first point, when they first had a go, they provide you any paperwork at all, Kev?
No, I didn't see any paperwork.
So they were
On
basically...
the two occasions, I've never seen a piece of paperwork on a bailiff.
Yeah, well...
In the whole process. Still to this day, I've not received a piece of any kind of paperwork from the bailiff whatsoever, seen anything from them.
So they showed you no work, nothing at all?
No, he said he was from... He said, I can't remember exactly what he said, but it was... He made it obvious. He said to me that words to the effect that it's obvious you know who I am and what I do and why I'm here, and the likes. And as I say, I stood my ground and said, listen, I know what the law is, what my rights are, and you just know where you're coming in. So he started trying to drill the lock, and then the police were called. They called the police. So I stood my ground, reminded the police to stand up to, honour the oath that they took and what have you.
Indeed.
I was actually standing behind the door with my hand on the door where he was drilling, and saying that if you're going to drill through it and you're going to injure me, I'm then going to prosecute you and what have you. And I say with that, I think, like as my brother said, you surely heard one of the police officers say that basically along the lines of, he's right, like you're going to have to stop, and he went. Yeah,
so would it be fair to say you were peacefully resisting, Kevin?
Sorry?
You were peacefully resisting?
I emphasised quite a few people peacefully resist, and you will not come in here and basically... I'd read up on it before, and I knew what was allowed and not allowed to do, and I knew what they were allowed and not allowed to do. As I say, I think that's what... I'm fairly sure that's why he left the first time. I say that was on the Wednesday. And then, as I say, the Saturday, I got the letter off the Leeds Building Society solicitors telling me that the eviction was no longer going ahead. It'd been cancelled by the court. So I'm thinking everything's all nice and relaxed. And now I have my two young grandchildren staying over at my house on quite a regular basis, normally at the weekends. But obviously, I think he must have been off school. Well, the old one was off school for that week, so it's 8 in the week. So the following Wednesday morning, I've got this letter on the Saturday. The kids have stayed at mine on the Tuesday night. The Wednesday morning, which is 15th of April, there's a knock at the door, around about 8:45, 10 to 9 in the morning. And I was sort of half expecting my brother to be round that day. I knew he was coming round eventually, but I thought, it's a bit early for him. So I opened the living room door, and I've got a glass panel in the front door. And I could just see a character of somebody standing there. I knew it wasn't my brother, because of the outline and what have you. So I opened the door. He said it's the bailiff. And as he said that, 2 other guys appeared from round the side with crowbars and stab vests and all the normal gear that they carry when they're on the mission and what have you.
Yeah.
Tried to slam the door shut. But as I tried to slam the door shut, I'm not sure which one it was. It wasn't the one that knocked, but it was one of the 2 with the crowbars. Kicked the door. That hit me in the head. Kicked it again. Hit me in the head again with it. I put my body behind it, and I don't know. I say all that in sort of, you know what I mean, the adrenaline was going, so I'm not quite exactly spot on with what happened at exactly what time and what have you. But basically there was a struggle at the door. I managed to get a metal bar, a couple of metal bars wedged in the door, what have you, so I got it shut. And that's when we started with the crowbars and trying to get in with the crowbars. I informed, I'll go back a little bit again. I put a sign on the door. I noticed on the door that denying the implied right of access. I pointed it out to them once again. Not that they could miss it because it was a fair size, and they just basically grinned and laughed at me. Which, well, that's the way they do it and what have you. So I got injured on my side as well when he was kicking the door. I had bruises down my left-hand side for a few days.
What you're explaining here is you've gone to bed that evening with your grandchildren. You've been woken up about 9 o'clock or something, and with no paperwork or nothing, simply ambushed on your front door with crowbars and.
Well, basically, yeah. I mean, when I first seen the two guys with the stab vest on and what have you. The order with crowbars, I just automatically think, I've got the kids here, woof, the door's going shut. And then as I'm shutting the door, I'm realising that it's obviously the bailiffs come back. But like I say, I've got the letter on the Saturday saying that the eviction had been cancelled or what have you, so I wasn't expecting anything at all.
I'd just like to point out, to have no warrant of repossession and no paperwork whatsoever, the notice of appointment, I mean, you've been to a magistrate, he has told you that at least that it's going to be fine for a while and it is null and void, and yet they come round the next day with no notice of appointment and basically starting to try to force their way in. Kevin.
Well, yes, that's it exactly.
And you took a few knocks when this was going on, Kev. Could you describe some of the injuries that you had? I mean, you mentioned that your side was black and blue there.
I've got to be honest, like, there was bruising there. I mean, it wasn't nothing, you know, I haven't had over the years when I was a kid and what have you.
Yeah.
I could cope with it, but the fact is, it was aching for a few days and it was bruised. Anyway.
No, the reason I brought up the injury is because it's an unlawful eviction. You know, to take possession forcefully is simply against the law, and it's punishable.
Well, I knew all that, and when the police got there, because the police were, I actually called the police while I was holding the door shut. I phoned them asking them for protection and what have you, and so they weren't there at the time. Like, they arrived about 15, 20 minutes or so later. So I explained all that to the police when they got there, through the door, but he just didn't want to know, basically.
So you managed to get these bailiffs off your doorstep and shut and secure the door, and then the police police came, Kev, did they? But you took a few welts before in order to do so. Would that be fair?
Yeah. I've got to stress it. I mean, it wasn't direct hits from a person. I couldn't say which one it was.
Yeah.
Sure, that was kicking the door and trying to force it, because, as I say, I had my side to it, my head away from it, because I'd already been hit in the head twice with it.
Yeah, you was just simply peacefully resisting.
Well, yeah. I mean, I wasn't forcing anything. I was just resisting the door being kicked in, basically. So by this time, obviously the girls have heard what's going on, and they started crying. I mean, they're only 4 and 2. Because I'm shouting at the bailiffs and what have you, and they're trying to get in with the crowbars and stuff, and the kids stopped with hysterical in the living room. I mean, it's only from where I was to where the kids were, it was probably about 10 or 12 feet. But they were going hysterical because they just didn't know what was going on. Now, I informed them, they heard the kids screaming and what have you, and I informed them that I had my young grandchildren here and that they were scaring them and I was afraid for them and what have you. And then I heard one of them say, "Leave it for now, we've got him."
Can I just hold it there, Kev, because having spoken to you previous to this, I know this is a very important point that we're about to go on to. But before we go on to that, you had discussions with the bank before these bailiffs come knocking round. You had offered them a remedy, a solution. This is all correct, Kevin, is it?
It is, yes. I'd made... I got back into work, basically, and I was able to carry on paying my normal rate, my mortgage at my normal rate, plus £100 on top per month to cover the arrears and what have you. But when I was in court, the judge just wouldn't accept. Basically, he called me a liar. He just said, "How do I know that you're going to pay it? How can you prove that you're going to earn that money?" And it's like, well, how does anybody prove what they're going to earn in the future? You know what I mean?
Yes, but
the nature of what I did, it was a day to day or a week to week. You know, one week I could earn X amount, the next week I could earn 3 times that. That was the nature of the business. So basically, what the judge was saying was that he just wouldn't accept that I could afford to pay back at the normal rate plus the £100 a month off the arrears. I did offer to pay the bank on a couple of occasions. No, more than on the right at the first time. Numerous occasions I offered to try and pay the bank back. I made a payment in January, and when I spoke to them on the phone, I said, "Right, I wanted to make January's mortgage payment, and then in February I would pay them the February's mortgage payment, plus that's when I would start paying them the £100 a month for the arrears." But they insisted that the money that I had then came off the arrears, which I didn't want to do, and I said, well, you know, it's going to get me, it's not going to work for me financially that way, this is the way I need to do it. But they insisted that they took it off the arrears. Now, with them taking it off the arrears, that meant that January's payment was late. Now, because January's payment was late, it came to February's payment, coming up to February's payment, and I got a letter off them saying, basically, you've got to pay it, we want to sort it out. But by then I knew what they were up to. Take it off you anyway, like they do. they'd already decided after the January one when they took it for the arrears rather than the mortgage payment itself. As I say, doing that left me short for the January mortgage payment, which I just couldn't make because I'd only just got back to work and what have you.
Yeah,
oh, sorry, they'd sent me the eviction. They'd taken it to court themselves. I didn't go to court because I'd already, as I said earlier, I'd already previously had a hearing.
But basically, Kev, you were within honour. You stayed within honour with the new contracts. You offered the banks and the court a perfectly reasonable remedy. But
well, I thought it was reasonable, but the bank and the judge didn't.
This is when you started to. This is when you started to suspect that all was not fair, Kevin. I imagine, is it?
It was, yes. Well, to be honest with you, I didn't even the appeal that I went to on the 9th. I didn't even stay till the end of it because I judged his mannerisms and the way he was wording everything that it was going against me. And then when he just flatly refused to believe I could pay back what I was saying I could pay back. I've got to be honest with you, I just stood up and I didn't say anything to him, but I just stood up and walked out. I didn't listen to the rest of what he had to say, and then went home and just say that was the first time that the bailiffs came round and what have you. So where are we up to now then? Sorry.
Yeah, we just giving the listeners a feel for what happened, which was basically that you'd fallen a little bit behind with your mortgage. You'd had a chat with the bank, you'd offered them a remedy, you stayed within honour, but it was basically dismissed. The bailiffs had been round once, they could see that he was peacefully resisting. They tried to drill the door, you warned them that it could cause harm and injury. They were informed that it was quite right, they left, they've come back the following morning, scared the bejesus out of everyone in the family, ambushed you on the door, you've managed to shut the door, and you're all shaken up at this point, Kev. The kids are crying and everything.
Yeah. Right, so from there on, like I heard one of them say, I don't know if it was the bailiff or his two little helpers, so to speak, but I told them that I had kids in there, and you could clearly hear them screaming and what, because they really were hysterical and what have you. I heard one of them say, "It's okay, we've got him now," and they went away.
And that's a bailiff now, correct?
That's the bailiff, that. So they went away, and I stood by the door for a little bit, and it's a first floor flat that I had, so I could sort of see out a little bit down to the steps, and I've seen them go up the main entrance and what have you. So I felt confident enough to open the door and go down and have a look. And what they'd done, they'd walked to the end of the driveway, just stood there, and they were making a phone call and what have you. So I went back in to see. Obviously, I left the kids behind and what have you. So I'd gone back inside to make sure the kids were all right, try and calm them down and what have you. I was just calming them down, and about 15-20 minutes later, they were back again. But by this time, they'd arrived with the two social workers and the police. So coincidentally, the police had arrived just after the bailiff and the social workers were there. Literally by a minute or 2 minutes, the bailiffs and the social workers came round the front way, and the police came round the back way. We've got a communal entrance at both ends and what have you. So basically from there, they're trying to get in again. I'm shouting at the police, what's going on and what have you, why aren't you stopping them? And I noticed, as I say, I've got a glass panel in the door, and I could see these two female figures in civilian clothes and what have you. And I was like, well, who are they? Thinking in my head, who are they? What are they doing? What right, who are we basically? And then it clicked, and I said, "Are you social services?" Well, they weren't the words they used. Like I can't say on air for the words I actually used to describe them. But I asked them, "Are they social services?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, you've got no right being here. What are you doing here?" And basically said that we've come to take care of the children because of the danger that I have placed my grandchildren in. Well, we didn't know they were my grandchildren at the time. Like the danger because of the danger that I placed the children in, they're there to basically take them away. And what I guess so. Right,
I just want the listeners to pause you now and just to let this sink in now, right? Is that we have got courts working in collusion with the banks and the bailiffs in order to. We know this. I mean, they do it week in week out. The listeners will be familiar with this. But this little equation now, where they are bringing social workers into it, and directly threatening the young children that are there is...
Well, that's what got me so much about it, is like, what rights? I mean, I could understand if it was the police that called them, but I say that the police were as surprised as what I was, that they were there. So it could have only been, well, I know it was the bailiffs, you know what I mean? Nobody else knew that the kids were there that night. Nobody else, there's no reason. They came up the steps with them. So I knew it was them that had called them. And as I say, I just saying they needed to take the kids and what have you, because I was placing them in danger and what have you. With that, I got onto the phoned my son-in-law and my daughter, and said, like, listen, you need to get round quick, like the nasty people are here and what have you, like, asking about the kids and stuff. In the meantime, I'm arguing basically through the door with the police and the bailiffs. In the meantime, while I'm arguing with them, they're still trying to get in with the crowbars and what have you. I mean, my front door, it's not a cheap and nasty front door, with it being a block of flats and what have you. So one of what we call the 30-minute fire door, so it's quite a solid thing and what have you. But that ended up in 3 bloody pieces at the end of it. I had a couple of iron bars wedged behind it, which was stopping them getting in. My son-in-law arrived, so obviously I've got to open the door then to get the kids out and what have you. So I've taken the barricade down. My son-in-law's come in. Now, I did allow, by this time a senior police officer had arrived, a sergeant had arrived, because I'd asked for the sergeant to, I'd say the 2 police that were there originally just wouldn't listen to anything that I was telling them or asking them. They were just going along with what the bailiffs wanted to do.
Well, this is the trouble, Kev. Let me just get in for the listeners again. That these police are there merely to observe that there is no breach of the peace.
Well, as I said, it was me that actually called the police. Yeah. I dialed 999 and called the police and told them that my home was under attack and I've got young children here and what have you.
Go on, mate.
You know what I mean?
Because I just got to throw another one out there now about taking peaceful possession. It's section 29, subsection 9. If physical possession is to be taken, it must be taken peacefully. If violence is used to secure entry, the mortgagee may be liable for prosecution under criminal law. Now, there is no... What you've described there is exactly that, Kevin, isn't it?
Exactly, yes. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I can imagine now the kids are pretty much hysterical at this point, Kev, are they?
Yes, they are indeed. And I would say I'd asked for because the 2 constables, or officers, should I say, not constables, the 2 police officers that were originally there wouldn't listen to what I said. I insisted that they got a senior officer down. Now, I was expecting an inspector or something, but I got one of your so-called sergeant things. I mean, he must have been all right at doing his job, like, because he was a sergeant. You know what I mean? It's not easy getting into the police force. Well, it is these days, like, but back in my day it wasn't. You'd respected somebody at the sergeant's rank and what have you. So basically, anyway, my son-in-law had arrived. I'd had to take the barrier down. Now, at this point, the bailiffs wouldn't come in. The police sergeant said to me, like, is it okay if I come in with your son-in-law and what have you? The bailiffs will stay outside and will send the social workers down the steps and outside and what have you. So I said, yeah, okay. Come in, got the kids, took them down the steps. Now I found out later on that day that after my son-in-law had taken the kids, the social services had followed him out and literally not dragged him but held onto his arm to stop him, and they were insisting that they needed to talk to him about the danger that he had placed his grandchildren in overnight and while they were in my care and what have you. And with that, to be fair, I don't know which police officer it was, but basically he told the socials to do one and leave the lad alone. With that, his son-in-law got in the car with the girls, took them home, safe and sound for them. Now, as I say, the barrier's down by this time, but the bailiffs have still not come in, and to be honest, to be fair, the police sergeant had gone back out onto the landing and what have you. Now, I put the metal bar, as I thought, I put the metal bar one of them back across the door, but it turned out, obviously, I hadn't put it there properly. The phone went, and the battery was on low, so I'd had it on charge in the living room. So looking at the door was secure enough just to go and grab my phone quickly. Answers the phone. It was a mate of mine and what have you. Told him what was going on and what have you. Hung up. And then next minute I know, I'm waking up on the living room floor. And I'm thinking, bit of a daze, but why am I sleeping on the floor? Type of thing. And then next thing I'm getting turned over and what have you. And then I realised it was the police had got into the flat. And they basically trying to put me into the recovery position.
Right, hold on, Kev. I got to get this right. What you just said, but there is that you thought you'd secured the door again. You went and had a look for your phone and woke up unconscious on the floor.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
With the police all around you and in your living room.
Yes, yeah.
Unbelievable. Now then, you're the type of guy, Kev, who would you don't faint. Would that be fair? You know, it's not. What could have caused you to be unconscious, really?
I've no idea, kid. As I say, it may have. I'm not saying. I wouldn't say what it was.
Well, I would suggest it would be. It doesn't matter whether they actually clocked you over the head or the stress or that you fainted. It would be a direct consequence of the trauma, whether it be a physical blow or a mental anguish from hearing new kids cry.
That's the lines that I was thinking along. Yeah, yeah.
It would definitely be, as a result of this ambush.
Well, yes, yeah. No, well, that's exactly what it was. It was an ambush. In all senses of the word, unexpected and with force and overwhelming force. So there's nothing that you can do about it. So then, anyway, somehow they've got me up. I've come round and they've sat me down on the sofa, and I'm sort of, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're not, sort of get out basically. And they're explaining that I've come in for my own safety and what have you. That's why. That was the reason that they gave for being in there, which I couldn't argue with, to be honest with you.
Was an ambulance called? Was an ambulance or anything called, Kevin?
Yes, indeed there was. They called an ambulance immediately, I would imagine, because they were talking about it being on its way as I was sitting on the sofa, so they must have called it almost immediately, what have you, in a half day sitting on the sofa, trying to figure out where recollecting what's gone on, and then, sort of, oh yeah, this is what's happened type of thing, it's the police and the bailiffs and what have you. So basically what the sergeant was saying was, it's all over with now, like the kids out there safe and what have you, all the right words and the right phrases and mannerisms and what have you, to make me feel that they were doing me a favour basically. So he said, it's all over now, you've got to come, you're going to have to get out and what have you. I said, no, I'm not going nowhere. I know what my rights are. They've got no right, you've got no right to do this. It's against the law and what have you, what you've done. It's against the law what the bailiffs have done. I'm standing my ground.
And I just like to back that up with another bit of legislation for what it's worth. Unlawful eviction, Section 1, Protection from the Eviction Act 1977. Not to use unreasonable force to enter a home without the consent of the occupant. And it's punishable by 2 years in prison.
Well, they certainly didn't have my consent in any way whatsoever.
Exactly. I mean, this is what we find on a daily basis, Kevin. They just
don't. To me, like I say, so I don't want it happening to anybody else. People need to be aware of what's going on in the country at the moment.
Absolutely, it's happening day in, day out, where the banks are being facilitated by the courts, or being facilitated by the police. But here's the kicker: they've brought the social services in and threatened your grandchildren.
Well, it's all going to be out there now, so I don't mind people knowing what I did. I spent a couple of years in care myself when I was a kid. Now, I was one of the lucky ones. I only suffered a few bits of physical abuse over the 2.5 years that I was away in Margate. As I say, I was lucky. Other people were in such a worse state. So I knew exactly what the social services were about from an early age. I was like 12, 13 at the time. I'm in my 50s now, so I know what the social service is like. Yes, there is some good people in there trying to do a good thing, but there's also an awful lot of evil people that have infiltrated into the social services over the years. So priority was the grandkids, absolutely terrified about them taking the kids.
Oh, and it sounds as if you had a right pair, because for them to follow the boy down the path and literally
Well,
say...
he'd already said to them to get away, and the police had made him go down the steps, but as he got down to the bottom of the steps, that's when he started following him to the car again, like, and insisting that it was him that had placed his kids into danger. And it's like, well, you know, basically, do one. With that, like I say, I don't know which police officer it was. He made the social services back off, basically. And I say the kids got away okay.
But I imagine, well, I know as a grandfather myself that when the children were eventually safe, you would have been relaxed then. So it would have been unlikely that you would have been less stressed then at the point that you got knocked unconscious because the kids were safe. The chances that it'd be, you know what I'm trying to say, Kev, it's, the kids were out of danger, so you would have been more relaxed. So
the adrenaline dropped a little bit.
Yeah, so the chances of you know, fainting or some reason because of the stress you was under wouldn't have been much chance of that, as you would have been calmer at this point. Now the kids were safe, they would have been your main concern, Kev.
Yes, by all means, they would have been, yeah.
So what I'm getting at is that the reason for you waking up on the floor unconscious possibly could have been maybe the blows to the head you sustained whilst peacefully resisting the ambush itself.
Possibly it could have been. I gotta say, I couldn't say, you know, 100%. It could have been stress.
Yeah, either way you cut it, you was out cold on your own floor.
Oh yeah. There's no doubt about that. You know what I mean? You can't mistake if you've ever passed out or anything, or you've never passed out or whatever. You know what's happened, like when you come round and the like.
You served and have actually been intense firefights with live fire going over your head, correct?
Correct, sir. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, so you're not the type of, you know,
15 years in the military.
Yeah, so you've seen some stuff and you've been put in some situations of highly stressful situations. You've never fainted before, Kev?
No.
Right, so I would take a punt that it would an injury of some type that would have rendered you unconscious rather than any kind of psychological stress. But either way, these people were to blame for that. There's no doubt.
Oh, no doubt about that. Yeah. Like I say, either way. If that situation had not happened that day, that wouldn't have happened to me. I wouldn't have been unconscious for whatever reason. So it's got to be related to it in some way, no matter which way you look at it.
Yeah, so you find yourself sitting on the chair and the ambulance is on its way and the police are saying, come on, you've got to go. Yeah.
You've got to be... I'm bringing... He's bringing the bailiff in now, and I'm saying, no, you can't come in and what have you. So I'm still in a little bit of a daze as well. So basically, he's made me get up, walk through to my bedroom, get a carrier bag, and basically just put a few pairs of socks and t-shirts and what have you into a couple of carrier bags. I'd like to stress at the meantime, while I'm doing this, the police are actually searching through the stuff that I'm taking and what have you. I didn't realise at the time what they were doing. It was like, I'd be just being nosy, but it was only afterwards I clicked on, hang on a minute, they searched me stuff while I was... They could see me packing it, but they were still searching it as I was putting the carrier bags into the living room and what have you. So I managed to grab a few bits of clothes and a few... Well, I didn't even get any bloody toiletries, to be honest with you. It was just clothes. But I'll be honest with you, it's nothing illegal, but there was a few weapons in my bedroom. You know, we had a couple of air rifles, one mine and one my brother's. I tell the police about that before they went into the bedroom, just in case they kicked off. He had a quick look at them and said, yeah, fine, take them away, because I didn't want to leave them in the property while it was unattended and what have you, in case anybody broke in or anything. So basically, I got a few things together, and then by this time he brought the bailiff in, and he just said, right, you've got to get out now. So I just said, no. I sat back down on the sofa I said, no, I'm not going nowhere. I want him out there. I want the bailiff out my property now. Well, it's not your property, he's saying, and blah, blah, blah. He just wouldn't listen to me. So he said, look, if you don't get up and leave, I'm going to have to take it out and arrest you. I just sat firmly down in the seat and said, I'm not going nowhere. I'm staying here. I want the bailiff out of the flat. So with that, like, the sergeant grabbed me by the arm, pulled me up, and started guiding me towards the front door and what have you. Now, the bailiff is standing to my left at this time, so by then I'd lost it, and I started giving him quite a bit of verbal I hope your kids are proud of you and all that kind of stuff, and how do you live with yourself, the usual spiel.
No, it's bloody right.
Sorry?
You're bloody well right.
Well, yeah, like I say, I'd lost it again by then. And as the sergeant's guiding me out, obviously I'm giving the bailiff a bit of verbals, sort of leaning forward. Now with that, one of the original officers that was there stepped in front of me. He thought he must have thought I was going to hit the bailiff or something, but I was being restrained by the sergeant anyway. So as I'm sort of half a foot forward, somehow, unexplainably, I fell backwards into the hallway. See me off, so I managed to scramble up to my feet. I was just about, well, I was going to drop the guy that I thought had pushed me over, but it was explained to me that I wasn't pushed. I'd tripped over a bicycle that was in the hallway and what have you. So as I was getting up, grabbed me and herded me out the front door onto the landing and what have you, and said, well, that's it now, you're out, you're not getting back in, you've got to leave the area, otherwise you're going to be arrested. So they insisted that I left the area, basically, with a couple of carrier bags of socks and t-shirts. Unbelievable.
So basically, you've woken up at 9 o'clock in the morning, and what time was this about, Kevin?
What time? I'd woken up a bit earlier than that. It was about 10 to 9 when the first knock was on the door, so I got up probably about 8 o'clock, 8:15 with the kids.
Yeah.
Well, it was because I was just about to do the breakfast for them when the knock was on the door.
Within a couple of hours, the grandchildren have been scared witless. You've been made homeless, and you're now walking the street with a plastic bag of your last possessions. Is that correct?
That's it, yeah.
Unbelievable. Yeah. I'm just going to quote a couple of maxims here, right, just to show the listeners how much the law has completely gone out of the window. And these maxims are on possession and property. Maxim: a person in possession is not bound to prove that the possessions belong to him, and a person cannot be taken by force from his house. That just flies in the face. Now, a maxim is the fundamental principle on which all law is based. There's another one that springs to mind here, and that's a maxim on right and wrong, which is a simple one that everyone should know. No one ought to gain by another's loss. Now, this system is facilitating gain for these private corporations, and it's using the tactics which you've described by you, Kevin. I gotta tell you, I'm disgusted by it. I'm absolutely disgusted by it. There is no much of a clearer case where the courts are in cahoots with the banks, or in cahoots with the police, or in cahoots with the social services, all geared up to steal another man's home. People are thinking there's remedy out there, there's justice out there. That the courts they're rotten to the core, Kevin, aren't they?
Well, that's what I found certainly over the past 4 or 5 months is what I found. Absolutely. And I say I've looked into it myself a little bit because of the situation that I was in. Unfortunately, I was too late to save the property and what have you, because the eviction had already gone ahead by then. But yeah, it's just happening too much. As I said earlier, it's people have got to be aware of what's going on and the tactics that they're using. You're not supposed to go on about it and talk about it, but it's the same as what happened in Germany before the Nazis took over and everything.
Of course it is.
It's the same tactics, the same.
It is.
If people look into it, they'll understand what I'm saying. Now, what gets me about it so much, though, kid, is I was one of the boys at the time. I was prepared to die for Queen and country. And then when you see the way that they're treating me, I mean, I've been out for years now, but when you see the way that they're treating the young lads coming back these days and what have you, they put their life on the line, and they're coming back and they're making them homeless as well. That's not right, is it?
Of course it's not right.
So it's a complete turnaround and a complete shock to me over the past few years and what have you, that have basically woken up to the way things are getting done by the criminal gangs and what have you.
It's exactly what they are. And I mean, people need to understand that you're not going to get any remedy within their system, within their justice system. That includes the courts, especially the magistrate courts and these other secret courts that they hold, family courts and whatnot. I mean, I'd hate to think what would have happened to the kids if those social workers had got hold of them for 1 bloody minute, Kevin. You know what I mean?
Well, that was why I was so terrified. Like I said earlier, I know exactly what they're like. And I know what's going on these days with children are literally getting stolen by the social services and placed into care because it's a money-earning business for them. Every time a kid gets placed into care, somebody gets paid for it, and then they get moved on to another foster parent or whatever, and they get paid again and paid again.
Yeah.
Just sent round and round in a big circle. When you look into it, you think it's just about you and your mortgage and your problems. When you start looking into it and you see how it works, it's not just the mortgage for people, it's absolutely everybody that's involved in the way that the country's being run at the moment. It's criminal gangs that are running it.
It's all geared up to facilitate
There's
it.
not two ways about it.
No, absolutely. It's
not right at all.
The whole system is geared up to facilitate this fraud, and what you have described as this evening, is absolutely horrific, and just depicts perfectly how these corporations work together in order to steal working men's assets, and any tactic will do, including stealing the children.
Well, that's it. On top of all that, obviously I'm out of business as well now. As I said, I work for myself with the sandwich bar and what have you. Now, all my stock was in the freezer in the flat, and obviously I need a home base to trade from, to keep my trailer and my vehicle and all my stock and what have you. Well, I lost all my stock in there, which has put me out of business again. So I'm literally, well, in the car a couple of nights, like sofa surfing a few other nights, stay at my daughter's once or twice a week. And I mean, she's got the 3 young kids anyway. I mean, I have the 2 of mine, but she's got a younger baby as well. So, you know what I mean, they need their space.
Yeah, this is fresh. This is no more than a month ago, Kevin, we talking.
Yes, yeah. Well, what we on today, 16th, 17th, is it? The 15th of last month?
Yeah, we're the 19th today, so yeah, it's just over
19th today, yeah, well, yeah, 15th of April it was when I saw that happen.
So, I got to ask you this, Kev, how are the children bearing up, mate?
Well, that's a good point, kid. I stayed at my daughter's, and I think it was about the Sunday night after this had happened on the Wednesday. I spent the first couple of nights in the car because I just didn't know what to do with myself. So I spent the night at my daughter's Sunday. Monday morning, the kids are up early, obviously, while the older ones going to school. But you know what, it's like the young kids. You don't get no bloody sleep at all anyway. So they're up anyway. And around about 8:30, 8:45, the next door, it's a row of terrace houses that they live in, and the house next door to them is vacant at the moment, so they've got the local council or whichever company it is that they use these days, sort of, you know, putting in the new kitchen and stuff like that, renovating it for the next tenants. Well, Monday morning, the kids hear all the banging and the drilling and what going on next door, start shaking and crying and screaming, not getting as hysterical as the first time, like, but the eldest one was asking, is that the bad people chopping down the door again, Grandad? How do you explain to a 2- and a 4-year-old that although that is the same kind of noise, that they're safe this time? And then they've asked me a couple, because the workers have been in there, well, we're still in now, not at this moment, like, but they'll be back again tomorrow. They settle down a little bit with it now, like, but quite often it's like, if there's a noise, you know, out of the blue type of thing, it's like, what's that noise, Mum, or what's that noise, Dad, or what's that noise, Grandad? You know, they're on the toes a little bit about it still.
They've been traumatised, Kev, by this whole experience.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, I've seen the kids kick off. I mean, all the kids kick off, don't they, when they're having a tantrum and stuff like that. But I've never seen kids. They were terrified at the time. You could just see it in their eyes and what have you. They're absolutely hysterical and terrified. And then with the neighbours, the noise in the neighbours next door, I say they weren't as terrified because there was me and the mother and the father there as well. Like, so they felt a little bit safer, and we explained to them that they were safe. But as I say, if they hear a strange noise or a bump or anything, it's like, what's that noise? So yes, they are still on edge a little bit, I would say.
Yeah, and I've got to ask you as well, Kev. I know you've served, and you know you're a man's man, but this must have hit you as well, seeing the kids upset like that.
Well, like I said to you earlier, I've spent I spent a few years myself, so I know what they're like. I really, really do. Bear with me a minute, kid.
Take your time, Kevin. I'll just talk for a little bit, Kev, while you get yourself together, mate, okay?
Okay.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, what we have got here is going on in each and every town up and down the country, where the social services are putting a man and his family through such trauma. A man who served, by the way, under live fire, seen some of his mates, you know, and all the rest of it. And this is what our system is geared up to do, where you can take a man and threaten to take his family, not just his home, but his grandchildren. Now, I'll ask you this, listeners out there now, right? Or you think the magistrate courts are there for you, you think the Crown Court are there, you think the law is there to protect you. It's there to protect and facilitate this ongoing fraud that gets to upset and traumatise ex-veterans and his grandchildren. Well, I mean, what more of a clear case have you got? Where they've left him, they've taken him out of his bed, more or less, right, at 9 o'clock in the morning, just after breakfast, ambushed the man, threatened him with nicking his children, and within 2 hours he's walking down the street, he don't know his ass from his elbow, with a plastic bag with a few towels in, and a t-shirt for the weekend. Having a sofa surf, you're there, mates looking after him.
Right, okay, now, kid.
Yeah, sorry about that, Kev, but people have to understand, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the first time I spoke about it. I mean, there's no need. I don't speak about things, you know what I mean? I can, most of the time I can look after myself, so to speak. I don't need to talk about stuff and what have you. But this is the first time, I'd say this is the first time that I've actually spoke out about it in detail, and it just brought back a few memories and what have you. As I say, I know what the social services are like. I spent a couple of years there myself when I was a kid. I was lucky. I wasn't abused sexually. And to be honest, at the place where I was, I don't know anybody that was. But I did know that it went on, because I was told although the kids at my place weren't, you do kids at other places that were, and what have you. So I know what I've always had a deep, I've got to say, it's hatred of the social services, not the people themselves, but the actual running of it and how it's run, and the top people that run it. So, as you say, with them threatening the grandkids, that was, well,
I think
you know yourself, you're grandfather yourself, kid.
Indeed. I think most of our listeners, even those without children, will know. People.
I mean, what right has a bailiff got to call the social services on you?
This is a tactic, an evil tactic. This is the first time I've come across it, Kevin, and I'm absolutely astonished. They've got absolutely no right whatsoever to do any of the things that they've done to you. But
yeah, I'd like to stress as well, up until this day, I've still not seen any kind of paperwork on the day off the bailiff. They refused to show me ID. Obviously, I knew who they were, because they were smashing my door in and what, but he refused to show me any ID. He wouldn't show me the warrant. I told the sergeant when he was there that he won't show me the warrant because he knows that I know that it's an illegal warrant and what I mean, it's not standing, so he wouldn't show it to me. So the sergeant went to see the warrant, come back and said, well, it looks all right to me, that's the way that they do it and what have you. So as far as I'm concerned, I haven't seen any kind of paperwork whatsoever. The only piece of paperwork I got off the bailiff, it wasn't off the bailiff passed it to the police sergeant while I was, after he'd taken me out onto the landing, was a torn up piece of cardboard with the name of the local estate agent and the telephone number that were going to be dealing with the sale of my property.
Well,
but, oh, by the way, it sold the other day. The property did. It sold for £55,000, which is, by anybody's reckoning, at least 20 to £25,000 below the normal going rate and what have you. Now, I know they're supposed to sell it at the best rate that they can get for it, but obviously they just want their money. I owe them 52 grand left on my mortgage, sold it for 55. I've got to pay for all the charges and everything. Now, it's cost me £160 each time I've gone back to my property to get furniture and stuff out. Now, I had problems, because obviously I was skint and what have you. I had problems. I couldn't afford to hire a van anywhere and what have you, so I was relying on friends. Now, on 2 occasions, I got let down by the friend and his van due to his work commitments. I mean, I couldn't blame him and what have you. He's got to look after himself first. But each time that he let me, the van didn't turn up, I was charged £160 for that visit. Now, I've had the last one today. I actually got some money I borrowed some money today to hire a van, and today was the final day. I got all my stuff out today, so it cost me another £160 today for the privilege of having somebody supervise me, taking my belongings out of my property to make sure that I don't do any kind of damage or take anything that I wasn't supposed to take. Now, going on from that, the company that supplied the guy to supervise insisted I leave all fixtures and fittings, which included the carpets. Now, the carpets, I only had carpet in the 2 bedrooms, but they were nice carpets, you know what I mean? They weren't cheap and nasty things, they were all right bits of stuff. Now, they're telling me that they're part of the property. I mean, but like, how can they turn around and say that your carpets are part of the property and I've got to leave them there? And then they go and sell it for, I'd say, 20 odd grand below the going rate and what have you. So basically, I'm not going to get a single penny out of it. Either way, I'll be lucky if I get 20 quid if anything from the sale of it.
Yeah, this is what they do. They squeeze every bit of everything out of it, the emotion, every penny we got.
Well, I can't. I remember one of the letters that I got off the Leeds Building Society a while back, saying that if they do take, this was before they put into the repossession, saying that if they do take it and they sell it, I think it was, I'm not sure if it was by law or under their code of ethics or whatever, that it has to be sold for the highest or the best price that they can get for it, or the going rate basically. Well, they haven't done that. Like I said, they sold it to like 20-25% below the going rate.
Yeah, all the regulations, rules, the law is totally out the window, and this case highlights it all. It shines a big bright light on it. Peaceful possession. I mean, you've not given your consent to any of this whatsoever. Full stop.
I don't know if I mentioned earlier, but I did have an implied right, denied implied right of access notice on my front door.
That's right.
Which they ignored.
No, well, I mean, you was peacefully resisting, and I mean, the only time
I knew what my rights were. I know what the law is.
Yeah. And they can only take it with your consent, or if you abandon the property. Now, there's no way you abandoned it, because you was telling them up until the last minute when they shoved you out of the stair over the bike that you weren't what you didn't want to leave.
Exactly, yeah.
So I mean, this flies in the face of every law, regulation, and rule it is. But it may be shocking to some first-time listeners out there, right? But this is what goes on each and every day, and this is why there is no. They hide behind the law, but luckily, there is law there for the people. There is remedy there within common law, and I would suggest we've got to start putting these people on trial ourselves. Forget the magistrates' courts. Forget them. They're corporations, if you don't already know. The government is a corporation. Everything is a corporation, which has been described bravely, I may add, by our guest Kevin this evening. So we need to start nabbing trying these people, and locking them up ourselves. It's simple as that.
Well, it's supposed to be the people's law.
Yeah, well,
common law. Well, there is no common law.
We need to start invoking it ourselves. I mean, the people have to come together and realise there is no hope or remedy within their system at all, full stop. And we've got to re-invoke grand juries and common law courts in order to hold these people accountable.
What the nation was built on.
Exactly. and we can't go after the big boys at the beginning, you know, the big politicians and whatnot, but we can get these bastard social workers and these fraudulent judges, and then as their system crumbles, because I'd love to be put up in front of a jury and argue the case that the corporate government is exactly that, a corporation, and the magistrates' courts a corporation, and they're all in it together to facilitate the fraud and to terrorise the local man on the street, to take every penny he got. Oh, I tell you, I'm riled up. I defy anyone to listen to this tonight and not to try and put yourself in Kevin's shoes. Just try that for 5 minutes and see what kind of feelings that gets stirred up. And I'm not talking about violence here. I'm talking about law. The law. It is there, and there's certain mechanisms within law, and we've outlined clearly today that they've run riot all over it. But there is hope. There is remedy within laws that they have buried alive under a load of statutes and acts that are not worth the paper they've written on. There's over 60,000 of them. Nobody knows what the law is anymore. We need to take it back. We need to take our courts back, and we need to stop this, because it's gone too far. You're a grandfather upset. Everyone should be upset by this. I mean, every interview I'm doing lately is broken-hearted people. This system is broken. It's pissing me off. I'm sorry, Kev. I had to get that out there.
It's like you said. It's emotional. I mean, when I look on the internet now and I see how many people it's happening to, I can't read the stories fully anymore. I just get the main headline on what have you, and I just feel so sorry for the people that it's happening to or about to happen to. I can't read the rest of their story anymore. I've got to click off and go and find something else. I mean, I'm supposed to be depressing myself, to be honest with you, with the amount of stuff that I'm coming across. But it's emotionally draining when you see how many people that it's happening to across the country. And as you said, it's not just one or two a week. It's thousands of people a week, or thousands of families a week that it's happening to. People with young children and what have you. Okay, yeah, what's happened to me is a nasty, horrible, bad thing. But, like I said, I'm an ex-squaddy. I'll get by. I'll get over it. I'll be okay. But people with young children that are getting put on the street have got nowhere to go. What are these people supposed to do? How are they supposed to feed the children when they've got nowhere to go, nowhere to cook or anything? The only alternative that they've got is somehow find a private landlord that's going to charge them like £150 a week to live in a room that's, well, some of the places I've seen over the years, and what have you, well, you'll know yourself, and the listeners will know the state of the private rental system. It's just not good. So where these families are supposed to pay, I really don't know.
You're quite right, Kev. In North Wales, they done an interview with Vic Skips the other day. Man's been acid stripped.
Yeah, I listened to it.
Absolutely acid stripped him. Before that, there was Anne Richardson. Again, totally bled dry by this system. And I mean, heart-rending. So you're quite right. This is going on all over the place every day, and we are just hearing a fraction of it. I bet you there must be cases out there, right, where the social services have actually taken the kids.
I know there is, and it's been for some horrible, stupid, pathetic reasons as well. People really need to get onto the internet and stop listening to the BBC, ITV and Sky. Get some proper information from independent sources and what have you, and you can find out what's going on. Social services are literally, along with the police, are literally stealing children from families under violence most of the time, because no parent wants to lose the kids. Now, these parents haven't abused the kids in any way. It's just that I've looked into it. They've been targeted. The kids have been targeted from an early age and what have you, and it's like, oh, there's a nice one, and they are literally getting kidnapped from the families, placed into the social services, and placing them into care. The parents aren't allowed to speak out about it because they're under orders from some so-called judge somewhere that if they say anything about the children being kidnapped and the way they're being treated, they'll never ever get contact with the kids again. I was reading one today where there's a parents that they're only allowed to contact the kids by letter once every 12 months. No charges have ever been brought against this couple. You know what I mean? But it's okay for them to steal the children from them for however long it is, and deny all access. Now, all this happens, people don't know about it, all this happens in the family courts, which is a closed, secret, illegal court that they use. Now, the reason that they use it that way is because they know what they're doing is illegal, and if the public found out about it, there'd be an outcry. Now, I've seen statistics and what again, as I say, again, people get onto the internet and look these things up. The amount of kids that are going missing in this country, and I emphasise missing once they've gone into the social system, the social care system, is absolutely unbelievable. It's not tens and twenties, it's thousands of children a month that are getting taken into care for stupid, pathetic reasons. So, as I say, after finding all that out and what have you, that's why I was so terrified for my grandchildren at the time, because I knew a gut feeling that if they got the claws into them, there was a good chance we'd never ever see them again.
Absolutely. And that may sound a bit far-fetched to some people, but I can guarantee you...
This is the problem that people, the general public don't understand. It sounds so far-fetched and unbelievable. It's like, nah, the guy's a pathological liar, or he's on drugs of some sort, or he's an alcoholic, who's been on the vodka too much, or what have you. Things like that don't happen in this country. People need to wake up.
Yeah.
Things like that have been happening in this country. I know personally, at least since the 70s, but when you look into it, it's just the way it's always been. And I mean, the way it's always been. There's always stolen children in some form or another for the faith.
Of course they have.
But like I say, I know it sounds ridiculous and people don't want to accept it and what have you, but people just look into it themselves. Don't believe what you're hearing tonight. You know, take it all as a load of bull. But certainly just have a look for yourselves, people, and you'll find out. And as I say, when you start looking, it depresses you at first. It really is disgusting and shocking what's going on with the country.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been taken over by corporations, and everything's an asset. They're making dough out of our children. And like Kevin quite rightly said, we don't have to take our word for it. Do a bit of research. The people out there, cognitive dissonance will kick in. The reality will just be too much for them to believe our words. But don't be willfully ignorant. The time for being willfully ignorant is over. You need to wake up and just do a little bit of research. Forget EastEnders, forget the football, do a tiny bit of research and find out how many children are being captured by corporations and how much money they earn off each child, because the amount is absolutely staggering, and it all goes to the private sector. It's a way of robbing, stealing more money from the people in order to keep the private sector afloat. Welcome to Britain 2015.
Disgusting, isn't it?
It's incredible, Kevin. There we are. But we have to get this out in order for people to understand, because it's getting critical now. When they come in through roses, they come in for the kids at the same time, folks. So it can't go. They can't push us back any further. We have to make a stand. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, well, that's it. As you say, it's getting people to wake up and to make a stand. Now, as you said, people just don't look into everything. Just have a small little look on the internet about what's going on in the country, and I can guarantee with most people, it will be better than EastEnders. It will be better than your football. It becomes, I wouldn't say it's an addiction as such, but once you find out one thing, it leads you to another thing, and it's like, no, that can't be right. And then you see all the documented official evidence, or the documented official video evidence of things that have gone on and that are going on in the country. And as I say, you just can't stop looking, and the more and more you find, the more and more you understand and realise what a bad, evil lot of people that are running the whole system, not just the country, but the whole system, from social services right up to the Prime Minister, basically. I mean, he's supposed to be the guy in charge and they can sort things out and what have you, but obviously it goes against the grain at the moment, because, as you say, the corporations are in there that much. It's you don't have to lobby no more because they are the government.
Yeah, he's the CEO, and he's doing the bidding of the private bankers. Simple as that.
Exactly, yeah. Now, as I said earlier, I wouldn't believe that 20 years ago, 25 years ago, because I was one of the, well, I hate to admit it, but I was one of Maggie's boys. You know what I mean? I thought I was that gung-ho and what have you. As I say, you learn over the years and you start seeing things, and it's like, it's just a total reverse of everything that you've ever been taught, or thought it, you've been brainwashed in.
Absolutely. Basically, everything you've been taught is a lie, and there is no more natural thing to do than to want to discover the truth.
Exactly, yeah. And the more truths that you discover, as I said, you've got to look again and again and again, and it can be addictive, I suppose, in a way.
Well, it's the most natural thing to do. Once you find out that, you know, some of the things that's going on, to go and seek the truth is no more natural thing to do, Kev.
Well, yeah, it's a human thing to do. It's, if you've been told something all your life, one thing, and then you find out that it's a complete opposite to what you've been told and taught. It's like, well, what else are they lying about, or what else have they been told that's not right? And it just leads. It's a never-ending story type thing. It's look, the more there is. It's everything. It's everything that you've had. I mean, like I say, it's not just the last 10, 15 or 20 years. When you look into it, it's how it's always been. It's always been a lie, and you've been kept in the dark about it.
It's been a battle between the sinister private banks and the control of money. They've created wars to facilitate the system in order to reset it. You know, it's one big Ponzi scheme, and it is researched. Well, this is not a conspiracy theory. You know, people need to go and have a look out there. You know, follow the money. Have a little look at these corporations, the people behind them.
Well, I've come to the conclusion that the only people that are living in the conspiracy theory world are the people that are asleep, and they don't understand that they're actually living in a conspiracy. Whereas people that are awake and aware of the so-called conspiracy theories and what have you, are the people that know what's going on. And the mass of the people are the ones that are actually living the conspiracy, because everything's a lie. Everything you've been taught over the years, it's all lies. And it's not just mistakes, it's downright evil lies.
They've got no consideration for the law or people. I mean, what kind of mind devises a system that, you know, social workers come in and take the kids the same time they take the house? I mean, it's incredible. But Kev, listen, we're just about out of time, my brother. I thank you so much for coming on and sharing that. It took, you know, you're very brave to do it, and I know it was upsetting for you. But on behalf of myself and all the people of the Common Law Court of Wales and all the listeners, I sincerely thank you, and we'll try and generate as much awareness to this, well, this horrific incident as we possibly can.
It's too late for me, because my place is already gone and what have you, but I just don't want it to happen to anybody else. It's people need to be made aware. It's
a wake-up call, man. There may be something we can do. We won't go into it just yet. We'll see. For anyone out there, you can find this interview. It'll be on Blog Talk Radio, and also on our YouTube channel. I'll also be putting it on our Facebook page, which is the Common Law Code of Wales, the same as the YouTube channel. Any last shout outs or advice you'd like to give anyone, Kevin?
Yes, certainly indeed. If anybody out there is facing a similar situation where they've had even the first letter from the bank regarding the mortgage, there's a few websites around. One of the biggest one I've found at the moment is a website called Response UK. Don't get me wrong, people, there's no money involved. They don't want any kind of payment off you whatsoever. All it is a lot of like-minded people that have got together and realise what's going on. Obviously, they're coming from all walks of life, so they're offering advice and services all for free. Nobody says that they're legally trained or anything. It's just an opinion that people have looked into and what have you. So if you've got any kind of debt worries, let alone loan your mortgage worries, any kind of debt or any kind of bailiff problems, there's a site called Beat the Bailiffs and the Bankers and what have you. There's loads of them out there if you just look. Don't go to any government recommended site. I found out myself, it's just a big circle of lies when you go into the official sites and what have you. Don't try and go to any credit type of credit controllers, the ones that look after your financing for you. Forget it. They're all there just to make money out of you. All the help that I found on the internet, every time I phoned somebody where it said free help and what have you, free help and advice, it's like, yeah. But then at the end of it, it's, well, give us £500 or £600. Listen to them. Go to the Response UK or one of the similar websites. There's plenty of them out there. You'll be surprised what you can find out, and it's also, you'll be surprised what you can find out about the law as well. You do not have to lose your home, and you do not have to worry about the banks coming after you for a pittance, basically. There is help out there.
Indeed.
Right.
Oh, well done, Kev. As Kevin quite rightly said, there's plenty online and that, and yeah, you'd be absolutely shocked. Kev, thank you again, my friend. And,
you're welcome, sir. You're welcome. All right then, cheers. Thanks a lot for your time, and I really do appreciate getting to let people know what's going on with the state of the country at the moment. Thanks for your time, kid. I really do appreciate it.